evening. So tonight, instead of our usual talk or Buddhist study or discussion, we're doing a Fusatsu or renewal of vows ceremony. And Fusatsu, as perhaps most of you know or all of you know, was traditionally done roughly about every 15 days, the full and new moons during the Buddha's time. And it was a period of, confession is not the best word because it has some Christian connotations, but it was a time to acknowledge and atone for one's faults in the presence and with the witnessing of the whole Sangha. And so the monastics would gather and recite the Pratimoksha and I believe, I don't know if the entire Vinaya, so the rules of the monastic order and the rules of behavior, if you will, and would do a version of the ceremony that we will do now, and then speak to their faults, their failings, and ask for forgiveness when that was necessary, take remedial action when that was necessary, and renew their vows, which is exactly what we are doing tonight. So we don't do the confession part of it, but we return once again to our aspiration to awaken, to live as well as we can for our own sake and for the sake of everyone. And so in the Ocean Mind Sangha, we do this ceremony. I think we're doing it now about 4 times a year. So a couple of times virtually and twice in person when we meet for sesshin. And so, as we begin now, really prepare in your body and mind, come into your body, once again, come into this virtual Zendo that we're creating together, so that this really beautiful liturgy that has come down to us through the generations can do its work on you and can transform you in the way that it's meant to, and remind you of what we hold so close and so important to us, which is a clarity of mind, a purity of heart in the sense of not flawlessness, but in the sense of a sincere wish for everyone to be happy, to be at peace, to be at ease, so that this is the world that we create and that we inhabit together, especially now, when in so many corners of the world, that is not what we see. And yet here we are doing what is against the stream, what is sometimes difficult to do, and saying others shall be hateful, harmful, angry. We shall not be hateful or angry. So the way that it works, if you have not done Fusatsu with us, is the liturgy is call and response. So Ninsei will be the liturgist tonight, Komyo will be the instrumentalist, and I will chant for the Sangha, but you're all invited in your space with your muted mic to chant the part. So when I chant, I will post the liturgy so that you can see it, and you will notice that at the end of either a verse or each line, there is a marking for a bow. So you can just go ahead and do a seated bow. So we will be in Gasho throughout the liturgy itself, and then you would just do a seated bow at the end of each line. I'm going to be a little late in my own bows because I have to mute, as I'm chanting and stuff. And so don't take your cue off of me. Just when you see bow, you bow, which is always a good practice anyway. So we will begin then with 3 bows.
all evil karma ever committed by me since of old.
All evil karma ever committed by me since of old.
On account of my beginningless greed, anger, and ignorance.
On account of my beginningless greed, anger, and ignorance.
Born of my body, mouth, and thought.
Born of my body, mouth, and thought.
Now I atone for it all.
Now I atone for it all.
Namo past seven Buddhas.
Namo past seven Buddhas.
Namo Shakyamuni Buddha.
Namo Shakyamuni Buddha.
Namo Manjushri Bodhisattva.
Namo Manjushri Bodhisattva.
Namo Samantabhadra Bodhisattva.
Namo Samantabhadra Bodhisattva.
Namo Avalokiteshvara Bodhisattva. Namo Avalokiteshvara Bodhisattva. Namo Maitreya Buddha. Namo Maitreya Buddha. Namo Successive Daiyosho. Namo Successive Daiyosho. Sentient beings are numberless. I vow to save them. Sentient beings are numberless. I vow to save them. Desires are inexhaustible. I vow to put an end to them. Desires are inexhaustible. I vow to put an end to them. The dharmas are boundless. I vow to master them. The dharmas are boundless. I vow to master them. Buddha to attain it. The Buddha way is unattainable. I vow to attain it. In the sutras, it is said that the Dharma is good in the beginning, good in the middle, and good in the end, possessed of meaning and letter and complete in everything. And the reason that this is so, Buddhaghosa says in his Path to Purification, is the teaching of the Buddha is good in the beginning because it takes virtue, right? The ethical teachings, the moral and ethical teachings, and concentration as the basis for one's well-being. It's good in the middle because it results in insight and the development of the path. And it's good in the end because it leads us to nirvana, to liberation. And so we could say that it's good in the beginning because it lays out a path of practice. It's good in the middle because that path leads to wisdom. And it's good in the end because wisdom turns into liberation. We could also say it's good in the beginning because it's inspiring. It's good in the middle because it's consistent with what the Buddha saw. And it's good in the end because it leads to peace, to tranquility, to the ease that I was speaking of. And it's good because it is whole. It is one consistent piece, one Dharma, one path, one result.
All right.
And in and of itself, this is the Buddha's teaching. This is the Buddha Dharma. But we also cause it, each of us, cause it to be good in the beginning, good in the middle, and good in the end. How do we do this? This is what I want to speak of tonight. Patrul Rinpoche was a very well-loved, very revered, very unusual Tibetan teacher. And he lived for most of the 19th century. And his teachings were not written down during his lifetime, and his students did not write them down either. But apparently, I guess in a following generation, they were collected in a couple of texts, one of which is very well known, is called The Words of My Perfect Teacher. And in it, he speaks of the three supreme methods that we would want to use, that we would want to engage whenever we encounter the Dharma. So whether we are listening to the Dharma, we're reading the Dharma, we should apply these three supreme methods. And so before we begin, we give rise to bodhicitta, the aspiration for enlightenment. Now, as I said, as we were beginning, we deliberately prepare our mind and prepare our body to receive the Dharma. And we remind ourselves of why we're doing this to begin with. We do this every time we come together with a dedication, with a prayer, the King's Prayer, where we're saying we come together and let this work that we're doing purify an ocean of worlds. May our actions extend everywhere, bringing benefit to everyone. May we see, may we understand the Dharma that we are encountering. And so we're marking this as a discrete time that is different from what came before.
maybe you were having dinner. Maybe you were reading a book. Maybe you were taking care of your child. Equally important, equally sacred. And this is also a very special time. And so we turn our minds. I was saying to someone that setting of intent in bodhicitta is the most profound intent, if you will. It's setting our compass, setting our direction for practice and for our actions. Because sometimes studying the Dharma and practicing the Dharma is it's hard, it's challenging, it's really time-consuming. Sometimes it's confusing, sometimes it's very detailed, as we have been seeing with our reading. Sometimes it's even overwhelming, what we see or what we feel. I remember having periods in my own practice when I thought, I don't know if I'll ever be able to liberate myself, because I just saw, it felt like there was so much karma I had to wade through. I kept thinking, it's like I have to turn into a different person, which of course was not true, but that's what it felt like sometimes. Like the me that was practicing was just too tangled, too wrapped up. And so at those times, and really every other time, I helped myself by reminding myself, this is what I want. And this is why I want to do it. I do want to live this challenging, wondrous life as well as I can. I do want to be loving and generous with people. I don't want to be stingy. I don't want to be afraid. I don't want to be withholding, condescending, cold. I want to be here for me and for everyone else. And in order to do that, I can't be lost in my head. I want to be able to see what's in front of me and not my projections, not my wishes for what I would like things to be. I want to not hurt. And I want to help others not to hurt. And I was fortunate enough to stumble upon this path and to recognize Buddhism gives me a way to do all this. So let me remember that I'm choosing to be on this path, that I want to walk it patiently and courageously. And so particularly when it's difficult, let me remember my original intent so I don't get discouraged, I don't get distracted. Because, things come up all the time. And so that I can stay steady, at least in that aspiration. Practice, comes and goes, effort comes and goes, commitment, interest, energy. But that true north stays true. We do this every morning together when one of us does the dedication at the end of our daily zazen. Wherever precious bodhicitta has not arisen, may it bloom. Where it has arisen, may it not fade, but increasingly flourish. Another translation says, may bodhicitta, precious and sublime, arise where it has not yet come to be, and where it has arisen, may it not decline, but grow and flourish ever more and more. And apparently, this verse comes from Patrul Rinpoche. He did a commentary on Shantideva's Way of the Bodhisattva, and he said that we could summarize the chapter on bodhicitta. There's actually a couple of chapters on absolute bodhicitta and relative bodhicitta, which is kind of applied bodhicitta. And the first one, absolute bodhicitta, which is really that aspiration for awakening, he says we could summarize it, which is it's an extended chapter in which, with a series of verses, Shantideva is basically psyching himself up to practice, reminding himself of all the many reasons why he's doing this. And Patrul Rinpoche says, just with this verse, you can remember. And you may have noticed there's no I in this aspiration. It doesn't say, may I wake up, may I give rise to bodhicitta for the sake of everyone, although that is a wonderful and certainly valid aspiration. I mean, this one is basically saying, wherever there is darkness, may there appear a little light. May that bloom, that urumbara that we're doing right now in the dedication for Sonkai's cousin, Florence Rita, may the urumbara bloom and reveal the spring of enlightenment. And the urumbara blooms, it says, supposedly it blooms every 3,000 years. So it's a very rare occurrence. And we're saying, may it bloom, may bodhicitta bloom everywhere. And then where it has already appeared, may it continue to grow and to flourish. This is how we help the Dharma be good in the beginning. This is how we counter that most mysterious of human inclinations to keep doing, to keep choosing the things that cause us suffering, despite the fact that what we really want is to free ourselves from that suffering, right? From that suffering to stop. This is how we counter our stubbornness. We let the Dharma be good in the middle when we deliberately turn toward that goodness. That's why we offer incense or flowers and water, the light of a candle. That's why we go to the trouble of setting up an altar or creating a sacred space, a sacred corner in our home. I mean, you could do an experiment, just roll out of bed for a week, just roll out of bed. Actually, don't even roll out of bed. Just get up in bed, sit up, and just start sitting. And then the following week, get up. The first thought, let it be an awake thought, a wakeful thought. And then go wash your face, get dressed, get yourself some coffee, some tea, maybe read a little Dharma. Offer incense, flowers at your altar, take your seat, raise your aspiration again, set your intent, and then begin. And then come back and tell me what you see. We cause the Dharma to be good in the middle by wholeheartedly giving ourselves, offering ourselves to our practice. And so if we're sitting, we just sit. We protect our minds. We let go of the chatter that pulls us away. It entertains us, and it keeps us ensnared. And so this is where we say, having brought myself to this place, to this seat, let me give my practice all of my attention, all of my energy, all of my vow. Let me not squander this opportunity by only half doing what I have vowed to do. And then wondering why practice feels so hard, why it's just like a drag. And so in a way, this second supreme method ensures that we leave no room for regret. I mentioned this the other night, no excuses, no regrets. We step in, we commit 2 feet. And then we let whatever practice we're doing unfold in us without interference from that fickle mind. This is where we recognize that our doubt, small doubt, with a small d, self-doubt, our hesitation, our tiredness, doesn't have to stop us from doing what we truly want, what we said we were going to do. The alarm goes off in the morning, and you're like, oh. But I mean, if we listen to every passing thought, this would be a frightening world. More than it already is sometimes. We know not to listen to certain voices, or to put them in perspective, to put them in a wider, to give them a wider view, to give them space. This is where discipline reminds us what we want to do is what we have to do, or vice versa. We have to do what we want to do. So it's a choice. The alarm goes off and I get up so I can sit before going to work, before starting my day, because in the long run, this helps me. And so I'm trading a brief momentary discomfort for that lasting peace. I mean, it's torture when you're still horizontal, but the moment you get up, you're fine. You're fine. You're like, what was my problem? A moment of discomfort for lasting peace. Why would we do that? Why would we choose that? I mean, when you put it that way, it's not much of a contest, is it? And then when we finish our practice, we don't just let it peter out. We don't get up from our seat and like switch off our mind before moving into the rest of our day. We end deliberately, just as we deliberately began. And this time we offer the merit of our practice. We let it extend outward so its benefits can reach everyone. And somebody was asking, is this a practice that we take up in Zen? And it is. It's very much built into Vajrayana Buddhism. But in Zen, every time we do a dedication for our liturgy, we're saying that we dedicate these merits to the Ocean Mind Sangha, the health and well-being to all beings in the Dharma worlds. And so we can do that. We can do that at other times. We can do that as we finish our sitting. I do it every time I give a talk in my mind. But then I thought it would be nice to actually do it overtly, when we come together, so we will. And so merit, in Buddhism is good karma. It's like the energy that we've generated through those good actions, good words, good thoughts. I think of it very simply as goodness, the goodness that comes from this thing that we've done. So if you remember the 3 pure precepts, to refrain from harm, to practice good, and to actualize good for others, dedicating the merit is one way to actualize the good for others. It's one way to remember that when I practice, I'm not doing it just for me. Let it extend upward. So I take whatever goodness I have accrued from my sitting, from my zazen, from morioki, from writing a letter to the newspaper or doing other good work, and I dedicate it so that it multiplies, so that it reaches everywhere, so that it doesn't fade, but increasingly flourishes. But just as we can accumulate merit through our good actions, we can also erase it, as it were, through harmful ones. And so Shantideva says, and the sutras say, that a moment of anger has the power to destroy kalpas of good deeds. And remember, a kalpa, in one definition, a kalpa is longer than the period of time it would take a person to wear down a rock, a league wide, a league long, and a league high, so 12 kilometers roughly, by rubbing it with a silk cloth once every 100 years. So they just, pass by once every 100 years and rub it with a little cloth. The Buddha always asks his monks, would that be a long time? Yes, my Lord, that would be a very, very long time. And then he says, a kalpa would be longer. That's a lot of destruction. That's a lot of destruction. That is why we take care to tame our mind. When it comes to anger, I think taming is the appropriate verb. We tame the mind as it bucks in aversion, in jealousy, and greed, and hatred. And we say, settle down. This isn't about you. Don't make it about you. Let it go. Let it pass. Find another way. Boasting about what you've done also destroys the goodness of our acts. It's like wearing your underwear on the outside. This is my image. This is not in the sutras. It's ugly. It's awkward. It's just bad etiquette. And in Buddhism, it's actually a little more than that. It's detrimental. It sets you back. It sets that goodness back that you've created. So it's just not worth it. It's spoiling a good thing. And it's just plain unnecessary. We can just let that goodness speak for itself because it does. We don't need to stamp our name on it. And so, we begin well, and therefore let the Dharma be good in the beginning. We practice well as we're practicing, and then the Dharma is good in the middle. And we end well as we're wrapping up, letting the Dharma be good in the end. And it's one precious, perfect whole.
Being one with the Buddha,
with all sentient beings, raise the body mind. Let the supreme way be realized.
being one with the Dharma,
with all sentient beings, penetrate all sutras. Let wisdom be like the ocean.
being one with the Sangha,
with all sentient beings, lead the people. Let harmony pervade everywhere.
may the merits of maintaining the precepts permeate the Dharma world, and may our sincere vows to accomplish the Buddha way be realized together. All Buddhas throughout space and time. All bodhisattvas, mahasattvas, Mahaprajna Paramita.
May the merits of these teachings benefit all beings. May these words help and not harm. May they clarify and not confuse. May they self-liberate, leaving no trace behind.